November 25th at 7 o'clock and will be streamed on Netflix. It also appears the Packers will be headed to MetLife Stadium week 2 to take on the New York Jets. And per reports, for a third year in a row, Netflix will air 2 NFL games on Christmas Day, one of them featuring the Packers going on the road to take on the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Turning to Wisconsin football, they have another in-state recruit for the 2027 cycle. That would be linebacker Keaton Wolin, the standout from Amory. Wolin previously pledged to Iowa State, but with his verbal commitment to Wisconsin, he is now the 13th for the 2027 class and the 9th in-state commitment in the cycle. The Badgers are on break. They'll get back into action for fall camp. September 6th, they'll take on Notre Dame at Lambeau Field under the lights for a 6:30 kick.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Tomorrow, the Milwaukee Brewers begin a 6-game road trip starting in Minnesota against the Twins for a weekend series. Then, on Monday, their first series against the Chicago Cubs will be at Wrigley Field. And finally, yesterday saw the Big Ten reveal home and away conference opponents for basketball. The Badgers will face 3 top 10 opponents. In addition, they'll face 3 teams twice: Iowa, Minnesota, and Illinois. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Evo, I've said this forever, and the NFL fully has gone down this road now. I mean, they could play Browns Jets at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night, and their ratings would be outstanding. Evo, I mean, it would be 10 times what an NBA playoff game is, or something like that. I mean, and they get it, and boy, have they. Now, did you see that slate of Thanksgiving games? Yep. Then you're gonna have Lions, Bears, I believe. You're gonna have Eagles, Cowboys, and you're gonna, what is it at night? Was it Chiefs and Bills? Maybe?
Yep, that's correct.
I mean, you're not gonna have to talk to Uncle Rich and Aunt Karen real long on that day, Evo.
The NFL is your family now, Rob. The NFL is your family now.
The NFL is your family, right?
Hydrating to eating meals to the recovery. I feel really confident with our plan and what we're going to do. And, the circumstances are the circumstances, but it's the same for both teams.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
That's Rob Reichel on the morning show this morning. I was actually listening to Ebo, so I'm always out walking in the morning. If I don't go to the gym before work, I got to go outside, especially this time of year, get some fresh air. I was walking around. It's garage sale weekend on the east side of Madison, so I was sniffing around. What you got for sale up here? I was listening to Ebo and Rob Reichel in my earbuds. I like that sound bite. Builds on some of the conversations that we had yesterday about the NFL's schedule expansion, global expansion, platform expansion, call it, onto new streamers and more exclusive Netflix games and just more games here, there, and everywhere. The NFL's expanding. And Ebo and Rob Reichel discussing that this morning. So that's where I want to begin. I want to look at the Packers' first month because we have so many schedule leaks. If I got out Excel and I compiled 100 tweets, we could probably get most of the schedule. I'm not really interested in doing that. We can do that tomorrow night when we have the full thing. But I do want to look at the first month, because I think the first month is interesting. That's very digestible. We can deal with 4 games. We can look at a month, and that's not overwhelming. That's not too much, even if they're just alleged games. I think they're pretty rock solid, but still nothing confirmed officially by the Packers or the NFL. So I want to look at the first month. That's where we will begin. This is the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bills. The Brewers winning this afternoon. We'll get there before too long. And just give the Brewers radio broadcast a chance to wrap up. So if anybody on any of our affiliates catching the end of the Brewers post game, kind of still paying attention, maybe what Pat Murphy had to say, we'll pick those people up in about a half hour and we can react to the Brewers game today. Last night, 5-1 homestand, really good. And Miles Turner did a podcast with Breanna Stewart where he detailed some of the goings on with the Bucks this last year. We're not going to spend a half hour on it, but you need to give me 10 minutes. You need to give me the rock. I'm an ISO for 10 minutes on some of the things that Miles Turner had to say about some things that were going on beyond the scenes, specifically with Giannis, that I just found really disheartening. So we'll get there. I'll take your calls throughout as well. 608-321-1670. If you want to join in the live stream, the Wisco Sports Zone app, the YouTube channel, my Twitter, @WiscoGrant, million ways to watch and to listen. So this is what the first 4 weeks looks like. This is all alleged. These are all leaks, which I find, it's just I just find it so exhausting. Like, this schedule release week is everybody's chance to like be a little bit of an insider. And no disrespect to any of these people, but like the local TV person, the guy who knows the beer vendor, the 30-year season ticket holder, like, I got a beat on week 4. And then the TV person's like hearing about week 9. And it's just everyone, it's not for me. But the first month interests me. I think this is worth talking about. So rumored that the first month is on the road at Minnesota, week 1, on the road at the Jets, week 2, home against the Falcons, week 3. That would be their home opener. And then back on the road for week 4 at Tampa. So the unofficial first month is to Minnesota, to New York Jets, home to Atlanta, and then at Tampa Bay in week 4. That's the first month. Now, let me back up a little bit. I did a Locked On Packers. I did the squad show last night with Jason Hirschhorn and Brandon Snide and Jacob Westendorf. I love Brandon Snide. Brandon Snide rules. I like Brandon Snide. And one of the things we talked about was, hey, how would you like the schedule to begin? Brandon kind of laid this out the same way. Like, we're not going to spitball the whole schedule, but like, what do you think is the ideal start? How would you like the season to start? And I said, well, if you could get the Vikings early before Kyler Murray settles in, that would be ideal. Assuming you're going to have to play at least one division game early, I think I'd prefer for it to be the Vikings. And then as many uncommon opponents or as many out-of-conference opponents as you can play. So the games that mean a little less. And one of the games I actually circled was the Jets. Can we do the Jets game early on? Can we maybe do the Buccaneers early on? Conference game, but not a division game. Can we get some of those out-of-division, out-of-conference opponents early? Because Tucker Kraft and Micah Parsons probably will not be healthy. So I want the big boys, of course, the division games, Bears, Vikings, Lions, as many of those as you can put later, the better. And then the more big time, opponents like the Bills and the Patriots, can we do those second half of the season when, again, assumedly the Packers will be healthier? There's no telling what's going to happen with Micah Parsons' knee or Tucker Kraft's knee. But again, we just kind of have to operate under the assumption that those guys will be back at some point. They will be back later. So can we push the bigger games, the more important games later on? And assuming the Packers are probably going to play at least one division game early, could it be the Vikings? Because whatever you believe about the Vikings, the Lions, and the Bears, Vegas says the Vikings should be the worst team. And with a new quarterback, well, let's get a pop at Kyler Murray early, maybe before he's completely and totally comfortable in that system. That might not be the case. Sam Darnold hit the ground running 2 years ago. But just, again, for what we don't know, which is a lot, give me the Vikings early if I have to play a division game, not the Lions or the Bears, and give me some out-of-conference or out-of-division opponents. If this first month, if these rumors are correct, it's a pretty good first month. At Minnesota, at the Jets, home against the Falcons, and then at Tampa Bay. Now, I actually like the fact that they're opening on the road against Minnesota. I like that week 1, they're playing at US Bank, which might seem a little counterintuitive. Well, Grant, I want that game at home. You want every advantage early on without Tucker Kraft and without Micah Parsons. Sure, that would make sense too. And I don't think playing Minnesota at home would be a bad thing. But I think the silver lining of going to Minnesota early on is that probably by the time the Vikings come back to Lambeau, I would imagine it's the second half of the season, the weather's going to be crappier. And I think the Packers' home field advantage is a little overrated and a little overplayed. And I think we have mountains of recent evidence to support that fact. But give me Kyler Murray outside in the rain, in the wind, in the cold. Give me that guy in the elements. It's not even a Packers thing. It's a Kyler Murray thing. Kyler Murray played at Lambeau Field 2 years ago. I believe that would have been, so what would that have been? The 23-24 season? 2 years ago. Not last year, but the year before. And I'm not going to pull up the box score. I suppose I could. But all I remember about that game was Kyler Murray basically being incapable of playing football. And if I remember correctly, that wasn't even that late in the year. I think I went fly fishing that weekend because I remember watching that game on 3rd Street in downtown La Crosse before driving back to Madison, which means it was at least mid-October or earlier. I think it would have been maybe the first or second weekend of October. It wasn't cold. It was, I don't know, upper 40s, 50. Like it was fine, but there was a little rain. And Kyler Murray, like, no, can't play quarterback. I think Kyler Murray is very talented, and I think he's probably underrated because the Cardinals are a disaster. We don't always think about them the same way that we think about the Jets because the Jets are in a bigger media market. They don't play in Scottsdale or Glendale. They play in New York. So we know that the Jets suck. They're a dumpster fire. Well, guess what? The Cardinals kind of are too, as we've discussed. So I think Kyler Murray is a distressed, underrated asset. And I think he's going to go to Minnesota and probably be pretty good. And I think there's going to be games on Monday night or Sunday Night Football or in a big window where he's a really entertaining watch and the Vikings are really fun. However, I will take him outside in the elements at Lambeau any day of the week. And it doesn't need to be 8 degrees. In fact, I probably would prefer it not to be 8 degrees because I don't think the Packers are anything special in cold weather. I think they're fine. They're not the Dolphins. They're not Tua, but this isn't the 90s where the Packers were invincible at Lambeau Field. I mostly think they're fine at home. But Kyler Murray, if there's any moisture, if there's any wind, if there's any cold, I want that guy at Lambeau, ideally later in the year. So while going to US Bank week 1 isn't great, and that looks like that's the rumor, that's the alleged opener for the Packers is at Minnesota, going to US Bank is never great. But I would prefer to do it early because that means you get the later game at Lambeau, which is an especially large advantage against Kyler Murray. Even if the game's on like November 5th and there's a little breeze and like a light rain. Guys, it doesn't need to be the frozen tundra to get an advantage against Kyler Murray. It just needs to be like a little moist. There'll be a little dew on the grass. And the Packers should be able to extract an advantage. So I really like the first month. If these leaks are true, and this is as far as we're going to go. I'm not saying, well, the rumor is in week 14, they're going to go to the New England. We'll do that tomorrow when we have the full schedule. I'm not wasting my time doing the scavenger hunt to fill in a spreadsheet. But the first month I like a lot. At Minnesota, which is the preferred division opponent over the Lions or the Bears, who will probably be ready to hit the ground running week 1, more so than the Vikings. And going on the road to Minnesota early means Kyler Murray comes, assumedly, later in the year to play in the elements, advantage Green Bay. Go to the Jets. That should be a winnable game, a non-conference, non-division game, and one of the games that you'll play without probably 2 of your best players, Tucker Kraft and Micah Parsons, before they come back. Home against Atlanta. That's a winnable game for your home opener. I don't know, Michael Penix. Is Kirk Cousins still there? No, Kirk Cousins went to the Raiders, didn't he? That should be a very winnable game in your home opener, even without Micah Parsons and Tucker Kraft. And then going to Tampa week 4. Okay, I respect Tampa. I think they're a really good organization. But again, a non-division opponent that you can get a crack at without 2 of your best players. I think there's a world in which they go 2-2 in that first month, and you're feeling pretty good. 3-1 would be excellent. I think 2-2, there's a reasonable world that's fine. 3-1 would feel a lot better because I'm trying to think, okay, let's chalk up the Jets game to a win. That's one you got to get. Atlanta at home is a win you got to get. And then I think if this team is going to take a step and be a division winning team and not just a wild card team, you got to find a way to win either at Minnesota or at Tampa. So 3-1 in the first month, pretty good. But if you go 2-2 without some of your best players back from injury yet, that's pretty good too. It's a soft opening, and you're going to be paid back later on by probably having Kyler Murray coming to Green Bay playing with some sort of weather. Hopefully. Minnesota could come in week 5 or week 6. That could happen, but I'm just assuming they're not going to do 2 Packers-Vikings games within the first 2 months of the season. That's typically not how the schedule works, but we have no way of knowing. We'll know more tomorrow. Now, it'll be hot in Tampa, so the Packers will have to deal with that, as Rick points out on the live stream. But again, it's not always going to be perfect. I'm not really going to give the Packers that many breaks on their schedule this year. You don't have to go international. You get 9 true home games. I read you from Nagler at Cheesehead TV yesterday, and I thought that was a really good piece. Like, if this is the team that's going to take a step, and it's going to happen under Matt LaFleur, it needs to happen this year. They have fewer miles to travel this year, fewer than everybody other than, I think, two other teams. It might be the Bears, and I think maybe the Panthers were traveling a little bit less. It's a very doable schedule, and I like how it starts if the rumors are true. And again, I'm not going to hunt down the rest of the rumors. I'm going to take an early break here. If you want to jump in and talk about the Packers schedule, we'll do a little bit more on the NFL next. 608-321-1670. And then we'll get into the Brewers 5-1 homestand loss last night. There's some details from last night certainly to discuss. And then we could circle back and talk about today, the series and the homestand as a whole. But if you want to jump in and talk Packers, scheduling, NFL, anything, as it is schedule release week, 608-321-1670. We'll be back with your phone calls right after this.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
That the two teams picked to play on Thanksgiving Eve will have had the prior week off. Because remember, our reaction to it was you don't get a real bye. You get more time off after that game following your bye than you do on your bye week.
Yeah.
If you play Sunday and then your bye week is the next Sunday, but you play Wednesday.
Yeah.
And
you're just going to get a few days.
On the other side of it, you get more days off.
Yeah.
Your mini bye after the Wednesday game is longer than your regular bye. And there's a mandatory 5-day. This is going to be a challenge for the coaching staffs. Bye week, there's a mandatory 5-day break. You better figure out how to drop those 5 days in there so you get your guys back and get them ready for the Wednesday game.
Mike Florio and Chris Sims just kind of BSing about how this Wednesday night game is going to work. Because if the bye leads into it, as Florio said, well, there's certain rules that go with the bye. You need a certain number of days off. So if the Packers have their bye leading into that Wednesday night game, does that mean the coach has to give Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. The team comes back together on Saturday to prepare for a Wednesday game. Well, then that's not even really a bye. But then on the other side of the Wednesday game, you get the benefit of a mini bye. I don't know. There's going to be some logistical things for us to pick at when it comes time for that Wednesday night game. That's months into the future, obviously. And we'll listen to Matt LaFleur and kind of gauge his press conference. Same thing when they traveled internationally. It's like, let's see where the coach's head is at with this. I don't think Matt LaFleur impressed with the way he spoke and handled their trip to London. I thought the Brazil trip, result notwithstanding, was handled better. Seemed to be some more confidence and I guess some more competence with that. But that Wednesday night game will be something on the schedule to monitor. But I'm talking about the first four. That was in our first segment. So if you missed the lead to the show, the first four games at Minnesota, at the Jets, home against the Falcons, and at Tampa Bay. Those are the rumors, at least. We'll get confirmation or denial tonight. I think that first month lines up pretty well for you. You get Kyler Murray early, and going to U.S. Bank in week one means hopefully you get Kyler Murray and the Vikings back at Lambeau with some sort of wind, rain, cold, which I love. With Kyler Murray in the mix. That's a big advantage, as we saw when Arizona came to Green Bay 2 years ago. It was raining, and it's like Kyler, he cannot play quarterback in those conditions. 608-321-1670. Let's take a call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Oh, Grant, gotta love schedule leaks. I mean, I haven't seen leaks this bad since Hope Solo.
I'm tired by the whole thing. And I know I'm not the only one to say this, Cone, but it's every little local TV reporter and insider and locals' chance to break that one thing. And then it all has to be compiled and put together. And it's not for me. But we can look at the first month. We can look at that, and we can talk about a Wednesday night game for Thanksgiving before, we get the full banana tomorrow.
Yeah, this is just all the luxuries. Like, this is what we're left with now that we already have a backup quarterback and a kicker named. We got to talk schedule leak.
Yeah, otherwise we could talk kicker controversy. We could demand, should the Packers sign a backup quarterback? I mean, they've already done these things. So that just means this summer we're going to break down the schedule in a lot more detail.
And does that upset you as an owner of this franchise?
That they've already done all those things?
Yeah, as a sports radio host / owner.
As an owner, I'm very thrilled. As a member of the media, and the media does begin with me, I'm very unhappy about it all. I think it's hurt our summer content schedule here on the show.
And have the Packers put out any, do you have any predictions for how they're going to handle the schedule release? I thought the Chiefs did some slop with sourdough or bread or something. Any predictions for what the Packers are going to do?
You know what I'd love, Cone? I'd love for them to simply tweet a picture of the schedule. That's what I would love. I would love the Packers and their 13 world championships to be above it all. We are not the Chargers or the Jags, where we have a crafty group of young, hip social media producers creating content. I don't need this. I don't need this. I'm in the championship business. I'm not in the clickbait business. Very cowherd.
That's a bar. I always prefer the local realtor putting her face on a magnet, and that's just a good magnet to have on your fridge.
as opposed to what, a fridge magnet that you got at Fleet Farm of the whole schedule.
Well, that one's good too.
I get you. I
fridge
saw the
magnets. I think fridge magnets are just a lost art these days. You see a lot of these new fridges that have iPads built into them.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're just going a little too far technologically as a society with that.
I think so. And I think everything has to be so clean. That's another societal issue, if we may. Everything's got to be white and crisp, and there's no clutter and there's no color. And every house now, every newly built house I see is black. Black house is very sleek. I just think, what about the yellow with the white trim, or even a soft pink that really makes the bushes pop? And it pops next to the blue house next door. Everything's black and white and gray and sleek. So I'm with you on fridge magnets. Yes, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I think Marie Kondo has done a lot more damage to society than just cleaning out your junk drawer.
Probably. And speaking of junk drawers, I don't know how the garage sale life is in Arizona, but it was poor in Madison this morning. It was a lot of VCR tapes and hospice care equipment. I was disappointed by the garage sales in my neighborhood. I'll try again tomorrow morning.
That's kind of the fun of a garage sale, because 99% of them are just total junk. I mean, there's a reason people are selling them for a nickel.
Yeah.
So, and garage sales are just a S show.
And here's
S exchange.
S and S exchange. Appreciate it, Cone. Have a good night.
You as well, Grant. Go Brewers.
Go Brewers. We'll get to the Brewers. If you're tuning in and you're wondering why we're starting with Packers schedule, the Brewer game just ended right before the show, and some of our affiliates carry the Brewers broadcast. So we're going to pick up the Brewers at 4:30. By that, all of the affiliates will join, and we can really talk about the Brewers. But I wanted to start with the Packers schedule. Yeah, the garage sales on the east side, went to a couple this morning. Guys, no one's buying the VHS tapes. You're losing money going to buy the price stickers to put on the things that no one's going to buy. You're not going to come out ahead there. And I didn't expect to buy anything, but I thought maybe. Like, my hope is always I'm going to stumble on the house of someone. There's an estate sale, and there was someone who was a musician, and the person selling all the stuff doesn't really know what they have, so I get a cool knick-knack, some sort of thing, or someone who's a fisherman. He's got all this old fishing crap that they're trying to get rid of, and there's a thing or two. Like, I'm just looking for hidden gems. I understand, but I was disappointed this morning. I was very like a halfway filled bottle of disinfectant is not. You don't sell that at a garage sale. Yeah, I got half a jug of bleach. Like, no, that's not. No. Come on. I think all the good stuff's getting sold on Facebook Marketplace now. I think that's the issue. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, Corey. It sounds like a lot of people are actually trying to use the garage sale as their garbage dump versus just going to Dane County Clean Sweep.
A little bit.
They said, I'll sell this to some sucker. Especially bleach.
Yeah, that was weird. It was an open bottle of cleaner. I'm like, this has been under your sink. Why would I buy this? Whatever. You're right, Corey.
It's probably just water at that point anyways. So, yeah, nice, tidy win by the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about, so I got a guy with a CB antenna in front of me that's just Sunday driving right now. So I'm trying to talk to you. And
all right.
But, yeah, so it'll be intriguing, as you talked about with the back attack here, finding out how far they actually travel. It sounds manageable though in the first month, as you said. And at first, he said going to Tampa Bay that week 4. I was like, could be boiling hot, but that was like in early October. So should be intriguing. Looking forward to it. The full breakdown tomorrow on the Billy Mike Show and on the Wisco Sports Show in the afternoon.
Oh, we're going to win-loss the whole thing tomorrow. I think, Corey, I appreciate it. I just want to get to one other caller. Sorry to cut you. Your connection's just really bad, and I'm losing you. Corey, here's what I see. You beat the Jets, you beat the Falcons, and you split between the Vikings and the Bucks. Ideally, I'd prefer the division win. If you can go 3-1 in that first month, that would be excellent. 2-2 is not a disaster, assumedly without Micah Parsons and Tucker Kraft. 3-1 is excellent. You should get better as the season goes along, and you're going to get more home games as the season goes along. Here, I'll take a call in a sec, but one more tidbit. I saw Zach Cruz tweet today. Where is it? Let me scrolling. He says, appears the Packers will play 3 of their 8 road games in the first 4 weeks, which means 8 home games over the final 13. The schedule should get better as the year goes along. The team should get better as the year goes along. And if Matt LaFleur and his quarterback and everybody doesn't have their head up their rectum in the last month, losing 5 in a row to end the year, you should be peaking at the right time, or at least the schedule should allow you to do so. All right, one more call here on the Packers, then we're going to trend towards the Brewers after our bottom of the hour break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. This is Tim from Wisconsin.
Hey, Tim. What's going on? Where in Wisconsin, Tim?
This is Tim from Wisconsin.
Okay.
Have you seen Office Hours with Tim Heidecker?
No.
Yeah. Well, so Tim Robinson from I Think You Should Leave calls in, and he's Tim from Michigan. So I'm going with Tim from Wisconsin.
I like that.
Anyways, a lot of Tim references. Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know. Every year I end up with a pocket full of like the little foldable Packer schedules.
Mm-hmm.
You remember those?
Oh yeah.
That's my go-to. I'm a big fan of having them on the fridge too. I don't know where I get them, but somehow, some way, I end up getting like a fridge magnet, and then I have like 4 or 5 pocket schedules. And those are kind of my go-to for the Packers schedule. Does anybody
checkouts at Quick Trip? Checkouts at Quick Trip. I feel like they're always on. I'm like, well, shoot, I'll grab one. I can keep it in my wallet. Like I'm going to need to reference it all the time.
Do you ever use them? Because I use them.
Not really. No, because I'll
Pathetic.
pull it up on my phone. Or like, Tim, if you listen to the show, I'm never thinking more than a couple games in advance. Like there's some people who are like, all right, we got the Twins this weekend, then the Cubs, and you get 1 or 2 series. I'm someone who stares at the ground in front of me and I don't look too far ahead.
That's why we love you, Grant Bills.
I appreciate that. Tim in Wisconsin. Anything else?
No, that's all I got.
Tim in Wisconsin. I actually think that's a good. See, you could just say Tim, and we'd all assume you're from Wisconsin, but clarifying Tim in Wisconsin, it's a little bit of an oxymoron in that you're clarifying, but you're not really clarifying anything, which is why I find it funny, even though I apologize, you not get the reference. The foldable pocket magnet or pocket schedules, yes. The refrigerator magnets, yes. I have last year's in here from Fleet Farm. It's on the whiteboard. Somebody mailed it into the station. So that's when the official schedule releases for me, is when you can get them at the checkout at Fleet Farm. Although I don't know where the closest Fleet Farm is to me. Like when I lived in La Crosse for forever, you'd have the Farm and Fleet up in Onalaska, and then you'd have to go, I think, across the river to Winona for the local or the closest Fleet Farm. I know they got a big one up on the hill. I think in Eau Claire, that's a Fleet Farm. That's not a Farm and Fleet, right? I don't know if I have one in. I gotta look into this. Either that or I got a road trip one of these weekends when the schedules start coming out. I have to commute to a Fleet Farm to get my Packer schedule. Let's get into the Brewers next. Perfect time to switch over. Some thoughts on the first month of the season. And, that Wednesday night game, I'm interested to see how that aligns with either a bye or a Thursday night game, because there will be some planning and some logistics for Matt LaFleur and his staff to figure out, which will be fun to follow, but that's a couple months down the line. The Brewers won today. Nice series, nice homestand. We'll react next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, the two big improvement, you talked about the walks on the pregame. I talked about getting the leadoff man on. No walks. Every leadoff man was out. I thought he threw the ball exceptional. He was crossing his T's and dotting his lowercase J's. His stuff was good against this really good Padres lineup.
Yeah, think about that big home run in the ninth yesterday, how close the Brewers would be to potentially sweeping this homestand.
Craig Kashan, Tim Dillard, and they said the thing that I was thinking about coming into today's game. So last night's game was infuriating and a huge kick to the huevos. But if they win today, okay, you still win the series. It's a great homestand. My nightmare was they lose today's game, and you're like, you were 1 out away from winning the series, and now you lose 2 in a row. So I'm not saying today takes away from the frustration of last night. They're individual games, individual events. But the worst case scenario following last night, which sucked, very much avoided. The Brewers won today 7-1. And as you heard Tim Dillard and Craig Kashan talk about, I'll play you more audio from the broadcast. The starting pitching was outstanding on this homestand. Mizorowski was unbelievable last night. The funny thing is, I think I've seen him throw better than he did last night. Sproat was really, really good, as Cone Roller predicted, I believe, on Monday night, pitching into the 6th. And even going back over the weekend when we saw Miz and Harrison and Henderson pitch against the Yankees, the 6-game homestand, the Brewers just tweeted this out. Combined 1.95 ERA, 32 and a third innings pitched, 45 strikeouts, and a whip of 1.05, which was probably inflated greatly by like Brandon Sproat's 1 bad inning. And I don't know that Miz had any bad innings. He had a runner here and there, like just an exceptional week for the starting pitching, which kind of out of nowhere has become the strength of this team. And it's not that I didn't have belief in Miz, although in year 2, if he would have had a sophomore slump, I don't think anybody would have been shocked. Huge expectations. Hey, buddy, you're the ace of the staff now. Like, if he's not unbelievable, amazing, I don't think anyone's shocked. Sproat was unproven. Harrison was unproven. You know, there was so much that was unsettled. I believe in what the Brewers do from a process standpoint. And in the talent they acquire, I believe in all that. But I didn't think their starting pitching would be the strength. I thought it would be solid, and the offense would be really good, and the bullpen would be really good. The offense has done its job here and there. And I think the bullpen is really good, just not in the way that we expected, which, like we saw last night, has led to some surprising outcomes and surprising moments. We'll get to more on that in the next segment. I want to talk about Abner Uribe and the back end of that bullpen. But the way in which the starting rotation has been straight up the strength of this team, not shocking, not earth-shattering, but surprising. and certainly getting the best case scenario from Mizorowski, who might just be in the thick of things in the NL Cy Young race. It's early, but I'll point it out. Right up there with Chris Sanchez and Paul Skeens. Kyle Harrison has just pretty consistently showed up and given you 5 or 6 innings and not a lot of runs and not a lot of walks and a lot of strikeouts. And Brandon Sprode, I think, is progressing, and you see the stuff. And it presents a little differently start by start, but you can really see why the Brewers like him and why he was targeted in that Freddie Peralta trade. 608-321-1670. It's the Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Well, things ain't always what they seem, so wake up, Grant. It's Mad Max and the Tunnels Under Racine.
Mad Max. I believe you. I saw some tweets, might have been at the game last night. That's about as bad as it gets, but them winning today makes last night not a catastrophe. It just makes it one really frustrating loss.
Yeah, I woke up pretty pissed off this morning.
I did too.
Say. Just everything went well from the pitching side. Just, I mean, the Israeli Defense Force has really become our secret weapon. So he's looking pretty good. I did not come up with that, by the way. I did hear that somewhere else. I won't disclose where, but that was too good not to say for the air sometime.
The MDF. No, I woke up this morning, Mad Max, just like you did. I woke up at 5:30. I couldn't get back to sleep, and it was very similar to waking up the day after a Packers loss, where it's like, oh yeah, that's gonna be our day today. And my life is a little different because I do 6 hours of radio on a loss, but I felt this morning like a Packers loss. Like I was upset.
I felt that way too. I mean, I know last year you kind of had that bit going at the end of the year where you were coming up with regular season losses that made you more pissed off than losing to the Dodgers in the playoffs last year, and that was one of them. But anyways, I mean, overall things are looking pretty good. I can't complain about a 5-1 homestand, even though it could have been a straight sweep just after one more out. But
we can try.
I do hope that we do something to address the back end of the bullpen, because we're getting close to Memorial Day, and Uribe's ERA is 5, McGill is at 6, and they're both both showing bad signs of not being close to the same guys they were last year. And and I hope they just don't keep them in those roles for too long and just kind of expect them to figure it out and don't go after some higher end arms at the bullpen deadline. But I'm also kind of thinking it'd be kind of nice to have Nick Mears and Isaac Collins right now, because I looked at their stats today. Nick Mears is pretty much the same guy as he was last year. And Isaac Collins he's exactly league average hitter. His OPS plus is 100. And I would much prefer to watch him take regular at-bats than Garrett Mitchell.
Yeah.
So I kind of think we lost that trade.
It's funny. Well, the thing is, like, if Zerpa doesn't play in the World Baseball Classic and he's who he was kind of projected to be, I think they're doing just fine, because they'd have a third leverage guy, and he looked great in the World Baseball Classic. Like, I think he's a great pitcher who was worked and then overworked and then he got hurt. So I don't know. I would take Isaac Collins right now over Garrett Mitchell and over Sal Frelick. Mad Max, for as much, complaining as we do about shortstop and third base, they're not as bad, but they're close to it in center field and right field right now.
Yeah, and I think the left side of the infield, they kind of planned on coming into the year just with those being as the weaknesses.
Yep.
So I don't know how much they're really going to do to address that, but I just think the back end of the bullpen issues and the outfield issues were kind of unplanned. I mean, Yelich, you can never count on Yelich being healthy either, which is the problem, because if he somehow is able to put together a healthy stretch, then that takes care of the Garrett Mitchell issue too. And plus, we should have Lockridge coming back at some point. It doesn't sound like his scare last week was as bad as it looked like, thankfully.
Yeah, hopefully Lockridge. And look, but I don't think Lockridge is some stud at either spot. I think Lockridge is a fine option, but I don't think over, let's say, a 10-game sample, if you were to play Lockridge every day compared to Mitchell, I don't know that you'd be doing that much better. Depending on if you get a hot 2 or 3 game stretch from Mitchell, you could be even, doing a little bit worse. I think Sal Frelick straight up the most disappointing Brewer this year. And it's early, and I know he's not supposed to be like the best hitter on the team. I'm aware. He's left me wanting a lot, because I should at least feel, Max, like, all right, Sal Frelick's in right field. That's not awful. It's not great. It's not their biggest strength, but it's not like a major weakness. And much too often this season, it's kind of been that with Sal.
Yeah, I mean, he's reverted to the player that he was 2 years ago,
Yes.
which is disappointing. I mean,
Yes.
I didn't think he would. I didn't think he would hit as well as he did last year, but I think somewhere in between of the last 2 years would have been more in line with what I was expecting. So hopefully he picks it up, but it's not looking good from him.
I'm with you on all of that, Mad Max. Appreciate the call.
Yep.
Have a good one.
Yep, thanks, Grant. Go Brewers.
So go Brewers, Mad Max. Now, we were criticizing a little bit there. We're nitpicking. If somebody would have tuned in during that phone call, we would have thought, what the hell? The Brewers won 5-1. Great homestand. Yes. 5-1 homestand. Very good. I think what's funny is I don't even know that I was that impressed by their offense today. That's what's weird. As the game was wrapping up, I'm like, great day for the Brewers. Kyle Harrison is great. The offense. And I mean, Churio was 0 for 5. Contreras was 0 for 3. He took 2 walks, which is nice, but he had a couple opportunities with runners on, and he hit it to the sky both times. Renifo had another good day. Garrett Mitchell had 2 hits. Didn't feel like it. Sal Frelick had a hit. I guess maybe the box score reflects a little bit better on the team than it felt like watching, but I wasn't overly blown away by their offense today. I thought they had a nice day and some timely hitting, some good base running, and, like typically a day like that doesn't result in 7 runs. Typically a day like that, I'd expect 3, 4, or 5. But Terang with 2 huge hits. Terang has been, dude's just freaking nuts, man. I don't know. Or Terang only had 1 hit, actually, but 2 walks. Contreras had 2 walks. Their starting pitcher just could not throw strikes. So the way their offense handled the first and the second inning maybe isn't going to reflect strongly in the box score, but a lot of long, good, patient, responsible at-bats that got that game into an advantageous place. But for large stretches of the game and for a couple spots in the lineup, I'm like, I don't even know that that's the best that I've seen their offense look. And this is going to sound crazy, but I think I've seen Mizorowski look better than he looked last night as well. And I saw Spencer Michaelis tweet that. And Spencer is a lot smarter and knows baseball a lot better than I. I'm like, Miz was great last night, and the results for the last couple innings were great. Got a lot of soft contact, so his pitch count was low, and he was able to go deeper. I think he's been more dominant. And he basically said that after the game, too. I think Mike Clemens sent that cut over, and if it's not in this email, I'm not going to dig through it, but Mizorowski said, like, I felt better. Let's hear a little bit from Miz, because last night was just absolutely unbelievable. This is Jacob Mizorowski talking about how he was able to sit down 14 hitters in a row last night's game.
Honestly, it's incredible that, I got out in 5 pitches or something like that every inning. So, that kind of got me to the position where I could, stretch it in the 7th and possibly the 8th. But, it was everything was working, so it really clicked.
So I'd love to think that if Mizorowski goes 8 innings, then Ashby gets the 9th and the Brewers win. But I think it was always going to be Uribe in the 9th, which we can talk about in the last segment of the hour. I want to talk about the bullpen. So I am not blaming the leg cramps of Jacob Mizorowski on last night's loss. However, cramps are preventable. I actually did some research into this. So for those watching on the simulcast, you'll see this. But for our radio audience, this is, you hear this? This is a water bottle. They sell these at your local grocery store. Dick's Sporting Goods actually has an entire wing of their store. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but our country has a little bit of a hydration fetish, which is good. Drinking water is good. I don't know that we need a new water bottle trend. I don't know that we need an entire aisle at Dick's Sporting Goods dedicated to, and here we have our hydro flasks, and here we have our Camelbacks, and here we have our Owalas, and over here on the end cap, we have 16 different colors of Nalgene's in 3 different sizes. So our country is a little ridiculous with water bottles. This is a hydro flask, very simple. So what you're going to do here is on the top, there's a plastic lid, hard plastic lid, and a straw that pops open, and you can just reach down, take a big old drink. You can actually do it whenever you want, carry it around with you. So great way to hydrate. Again, water bottle. I also stopped at Quick Trip. These are is it bananas? Yes. Okay. So these are bananas, I'm told. You can buy these at Quick Trip. They're very cheap. Woodman's as well. If you want to go see Phil Woodman or Walmart, your local grocer, most of them carry these. What are these called? Bananas. Okay, yes. And these have something called potassium in them. So if you're not familiar with these, I'll actually show you here. So I'm going to pop one off the stem. A little bit of a scissor. Now, this banana is a little green. I'm told as they ripen, they get less green, a little bit more brown. And if they get too brown, you can actually make them into banana bread. Actually, an overripe or a brown banana is actually advantageous for banana bread, I'm told. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to peel. This is slicker than snot because the banana comes in its own case. You just eat it just like this. I'm going to take a big bite. And the great thing about these is they're filled with what's called potassium and all other vitamins and minerals. And these will actually help prevent cramps. So here's what I have in the studio today. I had a 4-pack of bananas. I had one during Bill's show. I didn't cramp a single time. And again, this is a water bottle. You can fill this up at the sink or the drinking fountain. A lot of actual modern drinking fountains have a sensor, and you can place this. I mean, the lid comes off. Maybe I didn't explain this very well. So the lid comes off. I don't want my straw dripping. My pants look like I done pissed myself. You set this under the spigot. It'll fill up, and you can see. I'll hold it up to the webcam. That's where the water goes. Just put water in here. And I think if no one has told Mizrowski this, if you get one of these water bottle, and then if you have a couple of spare quarters, get a bunch of bananas. And these will actually go a long way in helping to prevent cramps. So I'm no doctor, but I thought I really show prepped hard today. Let's take a call. And then our final segment of the hour, we will be talking the bullpen. I want to talk Abner Uribe and Aaron Ashby, who didn't he look fantastic last night. All right, 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's us?
Complain.
Rico, I'm not complaining. I just said they had a 5-1 homestand. I'm trying to help Jacob Mizrowski. I'm giving tips here. It is my obligation to the audience to not only inform and entertain, but also occasionally to do some research and to pass that information along. And these are, you've been to South America. I think they have these there, these bananas. They have potassium, and they help prevent cramps.
I'm still trying to figure out what that bit was all about, to be honest.
It's not a bit. It was
a bit.
First of all, this is my show. I will decide what is a bit or not. This is how you prevent. He keeps cramping. So you eat one of these. You drink some. Again, do you have have you heard of these? Do you have a water bottle? Mine is a hydro flask.
Yeah, I have a water bottle. I stay hydrated. I'm actually very good at staying hydrated.
Oh, good. Well, this segment isn't for you then. That's okay. Not everything's for you, Rico. Some segments are just for other folks.
I was talking about the Brewers, you know.
Well, Jacob Mizrowski's on the Brewers.
Mizrowski went to the 7th. Yes, he was a disappointment that Uribe threw a bad pitch, you know. And, oh my gosh, Throat went to the 6th inning the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, compared to the rest of the league, they're hitting just fine. Yes, the Brewers play boring baseball. But you know what? They keep winning. They're 2 behind the Cubs. And we live in the heads of Cubs fans.
Probably.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
correct.
Anyhow.
Thank you, Rico.
I just called because you're a whiner.
I'm not
like you're a whiner.
This might be Rico. I don't appreciate that. This might be, in fact, the most altruistic segment I've ever done. I spent my heart. Do you think my boss gave me a stipend to go buy these things? This bunch of bananas? No, I used my personal funds in the interest of helping our young ace prevent cramps. Thank you for the call, Rico. We'll talk about the bullpen next. My legs feel great, wouldn't you know it? I'm actually told that we have a water fountain here in our radio station where I can fill this up. How fun is that? So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, talk about the bullpen. I'm going to go fill up this water bottle. This is great. I've never felt better. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I work for Pella because I know it's a company that builds and installs a quality product. The people that I meet, the stories that I hear, it's really one of my favorite parts of this job.
that's really it. I love being able to walk hand in hand with customers throughout the whole process from start to finish.
I love doing entry doors. When you show that picture of what their future entry door looks like and you get that big smile, that's just one of the best feelings.
Get the look you want for the home you love with 0% financing options available. Visit PellaWI.com today.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
All right, it was my plan to talk about Abner Uribe this segment, but went a little long there. Just an important segment. I was just spreading the word about a couple important things. A water bottle, for example. Maybe the Brewers could give Jacob Mizorowski a stipend to go buy one. Hydro Flask, a Walla, Nalgene, they're all good. Camelback. And then these things, bananas. I bought a bunch at Quick Trip this morning. That's what they're a bunch. They come in a bunch. It's super convenient. You just pop it open, eat one. And that combined with some good stretching, that should prevent cramping. It's not overly complicated. So sorry. We spent a couple minutes talking about that. And then Rico called in to add his I love Rico. That might be my favorite genre of call is when I'm being a complete and total jackass and Rico calls in to be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? What am I doing?" Thank you for the call, Rico. I want to talk about Abner Uribe because the back end of this bullpen is having issues. But here's the thing. I think this bullpen is good. There's lots of good arms in this bullpen. It's just not the arms that you think and Pat Murphy thinks. So we'll get to that next. First, an update from Ebo, and we're right back. Hour number 2.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, tonight at 7 o'clock, the NFL is set to release their schedule for all 32 teams, but we do get a couple of announcements before that, like the Packers visiting the Los Angeles Rams in the NFL's first ever Thanksgiving Eve game. The game will take place on November 25th at 7 o'clock and will be streamed on Netflix. It also appears the Packers will be headed to MetLife Stadium Week 2 to take on the New York Jets. And per reports, for a third year in a row, Netflix will air 2 NFL games on Christmas Day, one of them featuring the Packers going on the road to take on the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. Turning to Wisconsin football, they have another in-state recruit for the 2027 cycle. That would be linebacker Keaton Wolin, the standout from Amory. Wolin previously pledged to Iowa State, but with his verbal commitment to Wisconsin, he's now the 13th for the 2027 class and the 9th in-state commitment in the cycle. The Badgers are on break. They'll get back into action for fall camp. September 6th, they'll take on Notre Dame at Lambeau Field under the lights for a 6:30 kick.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Tomorrow, the Milwaukee Brewers begin a 6-game road trip starting in Minnesota against the Twins for a weekend series. Then, on Monday, their first series against the Chicago Cubs will be at Wrigley Field. And finally, yesterday saw the Big Ten reveal home and away conference opponents for basketball. The Badgers will face 3 top 10 opponents. In addition, they'll face 3 teams twice: Iowa, Minnesota, and Illinois. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
And 3 defensive outs away from a 5-1 homestand. And we talked about when this homestand began, this being a little bit of a find out homestand for the Milwaukee Brewers. And man, what great results here.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you had to face the Yankees and their 3 horses in their rotation, right? Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, and Carlos Rodon. And then the Padres are first in the NL West, and all of a sudden now you're on the verge of going 5-1 on this homestand. You know, taking it on the road against the Twins and then the Cubs. It doesn't get any easier through this month of May with the teams that are coming up on the schedule.
Starting pitchers have been brilliant. Started with the Miz last Friday against the Yankees, and then he pitched last night. 1.95 ERA for the starters in this 6-game homestand. Tatis grounds out and put that one in the books. The Brewers with a 5-1 homestand. They sweep the Yankees. They take 2 out of 3 from the San Diego Padres to first place team.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Hour number 2, we're going to stick with the Brewers. I have a Bucks thing that I want to cover closer to the end of the show. Circle back, talk a little bit more about the Packers schedule as well. But we'll stick with the Brewers for now. If you want to join, really good homestand, as you just heard Brian Anderson and Vinny Rottino kind of summarize there in that audio from the television broadcast earlier today. 608-321-1670 if you want to join the show tonight, presented by Kai's Chevytown, the official automotive provider of the Wisco Sports Show. You can go there just off Interstate 94, short drive from anywhere in Northwest Wisconsin. They've been doing it for 3 generations. I cannot recommend them enough. That's where I got my last vehicle. And I feel like I mention this often, but it's the best way that I can describe the way they do business, at least in my personal experience. And because they've been around so long, this is how they do it with everybody, because you don't stay in business for 3 generations in multiple locations if you're not treating people the right way. I remember I identified the car that I wanted based on my budget, based on my needs. And I looked at their website. I said, all right, this is the one I want. I went in that day. I said, I would like to see this car, please. This is the one that I would like. And they didn't say, well, have you thought about this? Have you considered this one? This one's a little bit more expensive, a little bit newer, a little bit fancier. No, none of that. They just said, that's a great car. Based on your needs and your budget, that's going to be an excellent purchase for you. Now let's get to work making it happen. And everyone there was so helpful, thoughtful, considerate, patient to make sure it was done correctly. But it also wasn't an 8-hour ordeal at the dealership, because who has the time for that? So you could check out their inventory, ChevyTownUSA.com. They're running some 2026 specials this month on both Silverados and Colorados. And if you have an even somewhat recent trade-in, I'm talking like the last 10 or 12, or I think it's 2012 or newer, I believe. If you have a trade-in newer than 2012, which a lot of folks would, you can get a big credit too. So they're running some specials on trucks right now. Some 2025 closeouts still remain. And if you're just looking to have your car serviced, you like your current car, you have no plans to upgrade, but you want to keep it running right and on the road, their award-winning service department, Austin, everybody there, they're spectacular. And this month through May 31st, they're running a tire special. Buy 3, get the 4th for $1. So a great time to put new shoes on your car, if that's something you're looking to do. So check out the inventory or schedule service anytime. ChevyTownUSA.com. Be wise, seek highs for the best buys. So Abner Uribe threw it up last night. And I don't think it's as simple as Abner Uribe had one bad outing or Abner Uribe made one bad pitch. He did have a bad outing. He did make a bad pitch. But it's more a continuation of a trend that we've seen throughout the season. His velocity is pretty good. I don't know if it's exactly where it was last year. I suppose I could check StatCast. He's 98.2. He's 95th percentile right now. Let me check last year. It would be relative to the rest of the baseball. So his velocity is a little down, but it's not backbreaking. It's not down like Brandon Woodruff, and I don't think it's down to the degree that McGill's has been down. He's not getting chase, and he's not getting swings and misses. That's a really bad combination. If you're not getting guys to chase outside the zone and you're not getting swings and misses on pitches inside the zone, you're not getting a lot of strikeouts, which means balls are being put in play and you're beholden to batted ball luck, which for a starting pitcher is okay, or a middle reliever. You can live with a little bit of that. In fact, that's a good way to pitch efficiently over 5 or 6 innings. But if you're a closer clinging to a 1-run lead against a potent offense, living and dying by batted ball luck, not exactly ideal. We saw that last night. If that liner back up the middle was a foot or two lower, Turang stabs it, the Brewers win, and we're talking about a 6-0 homestand instead of 5-1. Now, luckily, they won today, which takes some of the sting out of last night's loss away. No matter what they do the rest of the year, it's still going to be the spectacular performance by Miz that didn't end in a win. Whatever, there's only so much you can do about that. But Abner Uribe, not exactly with great stuff so far this year. And McGill, of course, much of the same. So you might be thinking, this bullpen is a problem. They need to address the bullpen. Now, hopefully Koenig comes back and is healthy and is good. That'd be a nice shot in the arm, a big lefty, I believe. I can never remember if he's righty or lefty, but big, power-throwing, leverage reliever who you can lean on in ideally the 7th and the 8th and the 9th to go get 3 outs, not some converted middle reliever or starter. So Koenig's return would be a big boon. But even with Uribe's struggles and even with McGill's struggles, I still think this bullpen's pretty good because I think Aaron Ashby straight up might be one of the best relievers in baseball. DL Hall looked pretty good today. I don't know if he was like sick or what. I don't love DL Hall, but at this point, I like him more than Uribe and McGill. I love Chad Patrick as a reliever. I don't know what they got to do in the rotation to maintain Patrick as a reliever. Keep that guy in the pen because he's nasty. I think Drowan in the pen is really good. I think this bullpen has good arms in it. It's just right now not the arms that you thought coming into the year. So maybe Uribe remains the closer. I don't know. But last night, I mean, you could just tell going from Miz to Ashby is like, oh God, like just grab your rosary and call God. And then Uribe comes out there and yeah, he's throwing 100, but not in a way that blows you away like the way Ashby throws or the way Miz throws. Seeing Uribe last night was a relief after seeing Ashby and Miz. So I don't know that Murph considered sending Ashby out there for a second inning. In fact, on the broadcast, they were kicking it around, and I think BA and Vinny at some point said, all right, well, Ashby looked good, but you got to go to your closer. I think that was a formality type of move. I don't know that was a move made with the best baseball backing. I think that was a move, well, he's our closer. We're going to use our closer. It's like, well, should he be the closer? I bookmarked a tweet today. Let me scroll back. This is from Jake McKibben. Abner Uribe's slider shape is pretty similar to last season, But the pitch that brought him so much success in 2025 has seen its whiff rate drop from 46% to 28%, and it's making a huge difference. He's throwing it less, getting less whiff, and that's a problem. He is 16th percentile in chase percentage and 30th percentile in whiff. As a closer, that's simply not going to do. That's just not going to work as a closer. You're not generating enough swing and miss. And he's walking more guys. He's basically average. He walks too many guys. So you walk more guys than you should. You're allowing more balls in play because you're getting less chase and less swing and miss. Last night is the perfect exemplification of Abner Uribe's stuff so far this year. If you were to say, well, he's not getting enough swings and misses, he's not locating his pitches, he's not getting chase, and he's not getting strikeouts, and he's walking guys. That's what it looks like last night. That's exactly how that presents. That's exactly what that looks like. Now, I don't want Ashby to be made the closer because I think that takes some of his effectiveness and flexibility away. But Uribe, as of right now, is like the fourth best guy in the pen, in my opinion. I think Ashby's better. I think Chad Patrick's better. Drowan might be better. Sniff test on DL Hall by the day. I'm still not really sure how I feel about him. 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Yeah, it's Darnell the Chump.
Good evening, Darnell. It's always a pleasure to hear your calls on the morning show.
Oh, yeah. It was nice to talk with you and Ebo about usually nothing sports related.
That's okay. Your 5 o'clock calls are very topical, I was going to say, this time of day.
Yeah. Usually we got something to react to from the day or preview, I guess, for the evening. In this case, I'd like to weigh in on the closer discussion here.
Please.
Real quick. Abner Uribe, he's always seemed like not low leverage, a high leverage reliever that maybe has a ceiling of the 8th inning. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't quite have the stuff for closing out games, but definitely has stuff for a 1-run lead in the 8th.
You're talking about Uribe, you mean?
Yeah. What did I say?
I'm going to be honest, I didn't hear you. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm following. You said Uribe. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah. I think Uribe is our 8th inning setup guy, and probably could be for the foreseeable future, 3-4 years, whatever it ends up being, contracts. But I don't think that they have a true closer on their team right now. One with, like you just said, the whiff rate and what you're looking for with a swing and miss guy at the end of the bullpen. But I think that they can make up for that in the aggregate, at least with Chad Patrick in the bullpen. I think that's where he's much better. I think Drowan's been fantastic in limited opportunities, and I might be in the minority here, but Koenig has pitched some really, really huge innings for the Brewers the last couple of years, and not having him to start this year, I think, has been a bigger loss than people have even really mentioned.
I agree. I think especially with Zerpa not being available.
Well, right. And then that's the other thing. Uribe pitched during the WBC, and we've seen every pitcher that was in the WBC has had a lower or a higher ERA, lower success rate in MLB regular season this year if they pitched in the WBC. So
yes,
I want to outlaw that entire tournament.
I'm very anti. I'm very anti, exceptionally anti.
They used Abner too much in that. They used Serpa way too much in that tournament. So yeah, I'm more just angry at that tournament in general because I feel like it torpedoed a couple of my favorite players.
Yes.
For this season. So
whatever. You don't feel like it. That's exactly what happened. Churio missed a month with a broken hand, and Zerpa had Tommy John because they threw him too much, too early, too hard.
Yep. But I mean, again, these are all absolutely first world problems when it comes to being a baseball team. Oh no, we have too many players that could potentially be closers but aren't closers. You know what I mean? We have too many high leverage relievers. What are we going to do?
Well,
I think it's angry, but it's also okay, not the worst problem to have in the world.
No, I'm with you. The term leverage is weird. Darnell, it's a good call because I don't know that Chad Patrick is here's what I'm struggling with. I think Chad Patrick's a stud in relief. And I think Drohan, from what we've seen so far, is a stud in relief. And I think Ashby is unfreaking believable in relief. But none of those guys really fall into the bucket of your classic leverage reliever. And let's look at last year's team, for example, right? Trevor McGill was the 9th. He got 3 outs in the 9th inning. Abner Uribe was the 8th. He got 3 outs in the 8th inning. They came in those spots, leverage spots. And you could always kind of pencil them in that spot. They knew their role. The Brewers knew their role. Can Chad Patrick just be the 8th inning guy? I don't view him that way. And maybe it's just a labeling thing or a presentation thing because he's a converted starter. Same with Drohan. Ashby, I think, is more synonymous with 2018, 2019 Josh Hader than he is with later career Josh Hader or, any of their closers from the last couple of years. I don't want Aaron Ashby closing, even though I think his stuff is closer. I think he's one of the 2 or 3 filthiest, nastiest relievers in baseball. But if you make him the closer, it really limits how he can pitch and where he can pitch. And I think part of the reason that Hader was so effective and helped the Brewers win so many games early on is you could kind of bring him in wherever. And if you needed him to pitch a little bit more, he could. Maybe Ashby is that guy, maybe not. I think he's pretty disgusting if he only needs to get 3 outs. And when he's fresher, like, make no mistake, like, they've had some bye games, some off days. And then, like, on Friday night against the Yankees, for example, he didn't have to pitch. So Saturday and Sunday, he looked unbelievable. So like that thing. They have good arms in this bullpen with other arms that have the potential to be good, and Koenig's coming back. It's going to be interesting to see how Pat Murphy and the Brewers, really everyone in the front office, takes all of those arms and positions them and deploys them in a way that makes it an effective unit. And it's really frustrating last night to lose that game because your starter was unbelievable and the first reliever out was unbelievable. And then in the 9th, you go to a guy who, even if he gets that save and he was close, straight up does not have the stuff of the 2 guys who preceded him. Like, Uribe is not as good as Ashby. He's not as good as Miz. So how do you align and deploy that bullpen differently where you're not getting to the penultimate inning, the final inning? I don't know that that's what penultimate means, but you get to the climax of the game and you're rolling a guy out there that's not nearly as good as the 2 guys who went before him. That's what's maddening. And I don't know how Pat Murphy and the Brewers front office, I don't know how they deal with that. A couple more Brewers thoughts and baseball thoughts on the other side. More of your phone calls as well. 608-321-1670. Back after this.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, the two big improvement, you talked about the walks in the pregame. I talked about getting the leadoff man on. No walks. Every leadoff man was out. I thought he threw the ball exceptional. He was crossing his T's and dotting his lowercase J's. His stuff was good against this really good Padres lineup.
Yeah, think about that big home run in the ninth yesterday, how close the Brewers would be to potentially sweeping this homestand.
Dillard and Kashawn talking about Kyle Harrison and the start he made today. I wasn't planning on getting into this tonight, but I got to spend a couple minutes talking about Kyle Harrison, but a couple of texts following up on our bullpen conversation here. 608-321-1670. Jay Krebs says, don't agree with your take that pen guys need to blow you away. Some of the best closers in MLB history didn't have blow you away stuff. I think Woodruff could come back and help some guys for the pen to give the guys a break, let the young guys be starters. I disagree with you that some of the best closers in MLB history didn't have blow away stuff. To whom are you referring when you say that? You know what I mean? Like, you know what closers aren't? Guys who throw 90 and get you to they get the ball on the ground. It's like, no. So maybe you can give me an example, but by and large, like, yes, the best closers in MLB history have blow away stuff. Doesn't mean they throw 100. But like Trevor Hoffman's changeup was blow away stuff. Like Rivera had that pitch. Hader had the fast, that's blow away stuff from a really difficult to pick up angle. Like, yes, all really good closers have blow away stuff. And that's what's so frustrating about last night. To reprise my take from this last segment, this is just kind of how I would describe my frustration with last night's game. Is Mizorowski was throwing the baseball like very few humans on planet Earth can throw the baseball. And then Aaron Ashby comes in, and I'm not just saying this because I have Aaron Ashby priors. That dude was skull effing the hitters at the way he was throwing the ball last night was unbelievable. To go from Miz to Aaron Ashby is like good luck. Good luck. And then the guy who comes in and blows the game, if the next pitcher had great stuff too, or was an upgrade and he gags, okay, fine, that happens sometimes. That is, I roll my eyes when I say this, but that is baseball. Uribe was a step back. Like if I was a hitter in that ninth, I'd think, oh God, okay, I got a prayer off this guy. That's what I'm saying. The sequencing and the organization of that unit really they need to get creative, or they need to think outside the box, or realize, okay, we need to handle this a little bit differently or untraditionally, because they have the arms. Patrick's looks disgusting. Aaron Ashby looks really, really good. Drowan looks really, really good. Like they have the arms. They don't need it. Yeah, Jay Krebs says, well, Trevor Hoffman. Trevor Hoffman's changeup is like it's one of the best pitches in MLB history. I'm not saying good stuff doesn't mean you throw 100. It means you have a really good pitch to get swings and misses. Yeah, not every closer's thrown 100. I would challenge you to find closers today that don't throw 100 because that's the game. So I don't know what Trevor Hoffman. I don't know what Trevor Hoffman's like velocity. I don't know what the average velocity of his arrow was, but I doubt he was that far off. But he was a changeup guy. Devin Williams in his prime, his changeup was the airbender. So yes, the best closers have great stuff. That doesn't mean they throw the hardest. It means they have great stuff. So there's a difference. I think we agree. But also, like I said, I want to go back and talk about Kyle Harrison. So Kyle Harrison today, I don't think had his best stuff. I don't think dazzled on the level we've seen him dazzle. Oh, all he did today was go for, what was his final line today? Let me see here. Scrolling. Why can't I find it? God, I hate Twitter sometimes. Search feature. Kyle Harrison today. 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 7 strikeouts, 0 earned runs. Did he have a walk? No. Walk. He threw 99 pitches through 5 innings, 5 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, 7 strikeouts. And he probably would have been come out and pitch the 5th if not for a first inning where he had 2 guys get on. He had 2 hits against him in the first inning. So I think he had like a 30-pitch first inning. So then the next 4 innings, he basically, 60 pitches, 4 innings? Like Kyle Harrison, just a ho-hum outing. We've seen him look better than that. That's kind of an average Kyle Harrison start right now. 5 innings, 6, 7, 8 strikeouts, negligible walks, no runs. And he's just getting started. And this is what I said. I just need to rant a little bit. I don't understand why that. I don't understand the trade. I understand why the Brewers would do it. I don't recognize or realize why the Boston Red Sox would take 3 replacement level infielders at best. I'd say Siegler is worse. Monasterio's about replacement level. Now he's versatile, so there's that, I guess. And Caleb Durbin, who's been just piss poor this year. Why would the Red Sox acquire those 3 players and in return send out 2 young controllable starters, one with ceiling, Kyle Harrison? And you might be thinking, well, Grant, why does it matter? The Brewers got Kyle Harrison. Why do you care about the Red Sox? Because I am bothered by things that I don't understand. That's why. What am I not seeing? What am I not getting? Kyle Harrison is a pre-arbitration player this year and next year. His arbitration doesn't even start until 2028. They're going to have this guy for another 4 or 5 years if they want him. And all they gave up was Anthony Siegler, who most people wanted DFA'd last year, Andrew Monasterio, who could be replaced by Owen Miller, who could be replaced by Joe Inglet or Norichika Aoki or whoever. There's a million of those guys. And Caleb Durbin, who is a nifty little third baseman, literally, but nothing special. Why? What is in Craig Breslow's brain in Boston that made him... How did this happen? It bothers me because I am bothered by things I don't understand. Here's honestly what I think happened. We talked about this, I believe, on Monday. This is my theory on how the Brewers did this. So the Red Sox last year send Rafael Devers to the Giants basically as a salary dump. They didn't get any incredible prospects back. Although, they got a throw-in reliever. They got Kyle Harrison, a pitching prospect, and James Tibbs, who was like a top 5 prospect in the Giants system. So it's funny. It was viewed as a salary dump at the time. It wasn't really. They got a couple nifty players back. When this trade happened, so James Tibbs Jr., who either an outfielder, infielder, position player, whatever, 4th prospect in the Giants system, goes back to Boston. Kyle Harrison goes back to Boston. Here's what I think happened. The Giants and the Red Sox are probably looked at the Giants and said, Rafael Devers, that contract? Okay, I guess. I think when the trade went down, most people probably viewed the Giants as you could do that, but I don't know why you would. I don't know that the Giants are thought of very highly around baseball from the outside looking in. And I think a lot of people, the Brewers first and foremost, are looking at Boston and thinking, well, you guys just sold on Quinn Priester last year. What the hell were you thinking? So what are you fixing to do up there? This is what I think Matt Arnold did. I think Matt Arnold saw the Giants and the Red Sox making a deal. And from over the fence, looking over, what are they doing over there? Oh, Kyle Harrison's changing. Wow, we really like him, don't we? He's got nice stuff. He's getting, they're trading him? I wonder. They gave us Priester last year. You don't think they'd? No. I mean, why not try? And meanwhile, on the other side of the country, the Dodgers are looking at this trade and thinking, oh, the Giants and the Reds, these two bozos are cutting a deal. What's going on there? Ooh, James Tibbs. We really like that guy. We tried to trade for him a year or two. You don't think. They wouldn't. Oh, shoot, let's try. Boston needs a starter. There's no way they'd take Dusty May, right? No way. Well, let's ask. Yeah, Craig. Hi. Hey. Job well done dumping Fatty's contract there. Yeah. We always thought he was overpaid. That's a smart move. People around baseball are mocking you, but not us. We think you're smart here in LA. It was good to get off that money. Shut up. Yeah, look, we were just wondering, we got a surplus of starters. Our guys are going to be getting healthy here. Yamamoto and Shohei's going to be pitching again. So we got Dusty May, and we're trying to be fair to him. We know you guys need a starter. Any chance? I know you just got Harrison back, but God, that slap. The Giants clearly didn't want him. Yeah, Dusty May, you like him? Yeah, we could do that. Utility infielder. I don't know. Let's say, what about that Tibbs kid? We'll take a flyer on him. What the hell? Yeah. We'll send in the paperwork. Like just a ridiculous trade for Dusty May, who was injured and sucked. Like I think that's what the Dodgers are doing, and the Brewers, meanwhile, are like, I wonder, do they like that? Do they like that Harrison guy? I almost feel bad for the Red Sox. They have to be one of the biggest marks in baseball right now. Say what you want about a team like the Pirates or a team like the Rays. They don't spend money or they don't try that hard, or the Twins. But the Twins and the Pirates and the Rays are not actively giving away pitching prospects or highly touted hitting prospects like mindless children. Well, we need a starter. I guess we'll trade for Dusty May. I know this is a Wisconsin sports show. I don't understand what's going on over there in Boston. It makes no sense. I watch Kyle Harrison pitch, and I'm like, what on God's green earth is Craig Breslow doing over there? The Brewers didn't even send an arm back in the deal. I saw Katie Wu, who covers the Dodgers now, used to cover the Cardinals. I saw her posting a video clip about this on their Dodgers podcast the other day, where the lead was, young starting pitching. It's the hardest thing to find in the league. It's like, yeah, because some of the dumb teams are just giving it away like candy. It's not that, young starting pitching, it's the most valuable thing. Not to the Brewers got it coming out of their ears. Because they're like, yeah, we'll give you Rodriguez and a pick for Priester. Yeah, ton of control. We like the stuff. And we'll take Harrison. We'll take Drone. They're just hoarding it. There are some stupid teams out there. I hope Craig Breslow keeps his job for a long time. Although I don't know that he'll be making a deal with the Brewers again anytime soon. So the Brewers might have to find a new mark. Sadly, I think the Craig Breslow well's probably dry. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, it's Andy in Sun Prairie. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Andy. I didn't think I'd be talking about the Red Sox. It just blows my mind that the Brewers got Kyle Harrison for what they did.
I just love the Moneyball impression of the, you getting on the phone and having the whole talk back and forth. That was my best. That was the best part of that movie, and I loved your impression of it. It was really good.
Well, that they're like trying to pump the Red Sox tires. Like, oh yeah, you got off Devers' money. That was smart. I think that was really smart of you, which it probably was. But then only if you keep the pieces you got back, right, Andy? Like, then don't go give those guys away for nothing.
I get that, but what I think you might be forgetting about is just how freaking awesome Durbin ended up making himself out to be last year. I mean, considering how he's played this year, it's easy to forget. But Durbin really, remember how pissed we were when we heard about that trade at the beginning? I mean, it's not a complete, we're just going to throw in this nifty little third baseman. No, he was a big deal by the time that season ended. There was a lot of reason for this Red Sox to think that they were getting something, that they were getting a serious diamond in the rough back. The fact he didn't turn out to be is just one of those things that happens when you trade. Conversely, Harrison is overperforming for us in a way that I love and I want to continue for the rest of his time here. But we couldn't bank on that either. So I think that this trade is making the Red Sox look dumber than they actually are. And I hate to defend another team because I bleed, Brewers, but I don't think they're quite the rubes that you're making them out to be. But
So-
that's just my 2 cents.
No, and that's fine, Andy. Like maybe you're telling me Kyle Harrison's overperforming a little bit. Appreciate the call. The stuff looks nasty. So if he has a bad start, like I don't think it's because he's a bad pitcher. Sure, maybe he's overperforming. Caleb Durbin last year. So I think we were unhappy about the trade because the Brewers were trading away someone. Honestly, he doesn't hit the ball hard. He doesn't barrel the ball. He doesn't elevate the ball. He's a nifty little player, but again, you got to talk about positional value here. We do such a good job talking about this in the NFL. An edge rusher versus a guard, a wide receiver versus a safety, a quarterback. We're so good at comparing positional value. A nifty third baseman and a toolsy starting pitcher with stuff and 5 years of team control. Those are like two, like, even if you like the third baseman and you have questions about the starting arm, like you just, that's not, it doesn't make any sense. So just on positional value alone. And look, if Kyle Harrison pitches like this for the rest of the year and is really good, and then comes back next year and is like Dave Bush level, and then they trade him away, they will have won the trade because Durbin was never going to be the guy with who they have coming up. And Siegler sucked, and Monasterio is whatever. He's a utility guy. David Hamilton's the same, probably better. So like, even if Kyle Harrison is great for this year and then sucks the rest of his career, I think the Brewers win the trade. It'd be a bummer because you want to have him good for a long time. But you gave up some utility infielders, basically. You gave up 3 crummy Hernan Perez's for a dude who looks like a number 2 or a low-level number 1 starter right now. It's incredible to me. I have a Bucks thing that I want to discuss next. A little late for a break. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I work for Pella because I know it's a company that builds and installs a quality product. The people that I meet, the stories that I hear, it's really one of my favorite parts of this job.
That's really it. I love being able to walk hand in hand with customers throughout the whole process from start to finish.
I love doing entry doors. When you show that picture of what their future entry door looks like and you get that big smile, that's just one of the best feelings.
Get the look you want for the home you love with 0% financing options available. Visit PellaWI.com today.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
We get fined for all types of stuff now. You guys get fined a lot?
It depends on the coach. So Doc Rivers, he didn't find anybody. Guys were late all the time. Guys were, showing up to film whenever they wanted to show up. Guys were missing meetings. Like, it was one of the craziest things I personally ever experienced. We literally, if the plane took off at 2:00, we weren't leaving until 4:30. I'm being so serious, bro. It was crazy, dog. Guys were an hour late to the plane. It got to the point where I knew not to show up until like an hour after they said the plane was taking off. It was crazy.
So who's the teammate that's most likely to be late? Well, all of yours, obviously, because nobody gets fined.
Giannis is going to show up whenever he wants, really. I think that it's kind of just came with the territory at that. And once I kind of saw what was going down, I was like, hey, man, more power to you. They ain't going to find you. Do what you do.
Right.
Except when we're going to Dallas. That's when I was like, all right, come on.
Says Miles Turner on Brianna Stewart's podcast. And I don't know what that last thing means. Like maybe Miles Turner's from Dallas and he's excited to get back down there. So, we wanted to maximize the time there. I'm not surprised that there wasn't a whole lot of discipline under Doc Rivers. I think he was probably mostly checked out. I think a lot of the team was checked out. Being late for planes and the worst perpetrator or the worst offender being Giannis, that's interesting to me. That's really frustrating in a way that I don't know that we've discussed yet. And we've been critical of Giannis. He hasn't been a sacred cow on this show. But I want to go back to what Giannis told Lori Nickel, and I should have pulled it up over the break. I was looking at something else, so that's my bad. Let me see if I can get the story here. But yeah, with Lori Nickel, Giannis Antetokounmpo opens up about his future with the Bucks. This is what came to mind when I heard that soundbite, where it's like, yeah, Giannis was always late for the plane. He was never on time. This is what Giannis had to say about a future and another coach. Lori Nickel says, there's something that's always bothered me. I asked you directly the day Coach Adrian Griffin was fired how involved you were with that, and you said you give an opinion, but you do not make the decision. Giannis said 1,000%. Nobody believes you. Nobody believes me. Antetokounmpo says, I'm telling the truth. Of course, I see. I interview, but I don't make all the decisions. That's everyone. That's not just me. All the players. Well, not all of them. For the longest time, it was Bud, Chris, Giannis, but I don't make a decision. I was the youngest player on the team. They talk about Griff, blah, 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 blah. His wife says, and Lori asks, do you see a path for you to come back and stay here? And he says, 100%, yeah. What would you need to see? And this is his answer. Antetokounmpo, everything about my decision is based on winning, culture. Like what you saw when I talked with Boston coach Joe Mazzulla. I said you guys had so many opportunities to make excuses, but you didn't. The Celtics season started slow, and he said, oh, they're good players. And I said, no, it's about the mentality that you instilled in your place. Vasilis Spanoulis, the same thing. I think he's a Greek coach. That's why I love him. It's the mentality that's instilled in the Greek national team, that we are here to give everything we have. We're here to bond together. We're here to figure out a way to win. No excuses. Move as a group, and you move as a unit. So I love that. That's hilarious. I won't say that our team right now is not like that, but I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. I have the most years out of anybody in that locker room. I think that some people know how to win, some people don't. It's not because they don't want to, it's because they've never been in that stage before. As long as it's great organized basketball and a team that's willing to play selfless basketball and chase some goal that's bigger than themselves, I'll be here. Do you see that with the Bucks? You've been around, 10 years? You tell me what you see. So when I first read this, I'm like, oh, it's a great point. I would like a coach that instills a culture as well. That would be good. But those comments land really hollow when then I hear that Giannis was always like 2.5 hours late for the team plane. And I'm willing to bet, although Miles Turner did not explicitly say this, Miles Turner said, well, people were late for film session, people were late for shoot around. I am going to assume that Giannis was also late to those other things. Because if everybody's late to everything, and you ask, well, who's always late for the flights? And the answer is Giannis. Do you think he was Mr. Punctual for everything else? So for Giannis then in this interview, I go back and I read, we are here to figure out ways to win. No excuses. Move as a group and move as a unit. Well, except for me. I'm going to show up, 2 hours after we plan to leave. I understand that this last year was probably frustrating for Giannis. He was hurt and the team wasn't that good. So I understand. It's not my unrealistic expectation that Giannis should have just sacked up and played through injuries and led the team to the number 1 seed, and he should have just been Giannis. And I understand that's not how it works. But even when the team isn't great, and even when you're going through it, and even when you're injured, like there's some things that you can control, like being on time. That's it. You don't need to be healthy for that. You don't need to be having a great season for that. If you show up late habitually, like to make a point, you're kind of a jackass. And it's funny, we've talked about Favre this week, and we've compared, how things ended with Favre and with Rodgers and Giannis anytime there's been a star player that's left. And I've always said, look, I think Favre at the end was an a-hole to be an a-hole, because that's kind of who he was. I think Rodgers was unique and different, and I think he was a complicated fella in ways that, presented challenges to the Packers, but I don't think Rodgers is a bad guy. I don't think he was sticking it to the organization to stick it to maybe little things here and there, but Favre on a grand level was like, you're just being a prick to be a prick. Giannis being 2.5 hours late to a flight habitually just because he can, that's what Favre would do. Just because he can, to be a jerk. Like, screw you, man. Like, then don't tell me about, I want a coach who's going to instill a culture. Dude, the culture has to start with the best player. Everyone knows Doc is on his way out the door. Everyone's looking to you, and you're showing up 2.5 hours late for the team plane. Screw you. Don't tell me, well, we need a coach with a culture. We need to move as a unit. Brother, get a mirror. Like, I don't know if you've seen The Office, but this is the quote. I cut this sound. I tweeted it too. When Giannis is like, the next coach I want him to come in here and instill a culture. This is what I thought of.
I got away with everything under the last boss, and it wasn't good for me at all. So I want guidance. I want leadership. But don't just like boss me around, like lead me when I'm in the mood to be led. On a side note, Ryan's character, very underrated. Great line reading. When I'm in the mood to be led. Like, screw you, Giannis. Like, again, you can't help that you're hurt. You can't help that the roster's not great and that the coach is kind of out to lunch. You can show up on time. If you show up late just because, and you do it constantly, I think you're kind of a bad person. Maybe not actively, but you don't have a regard for anybody else's time. That's disrespectful to your friends or to your coach. If you're late all the time, you don't respect me. You don't respect our thing, our job, our career, our team, our friendship. Like, screw you, a-hole. So I assume that was not limited to the flights. I assume that was a problem in shoot around and film session. No wonder the culture with this team sucked. And I don't even put that on Doc. What do you want Doc to do? So I see a lot of people on Twitter today on Buckster like, oh, Doc was the worst. Nuh-uh. Like, Doc's a boob, but come on. Giannis, you barely played this year. The season was a catastrophe, but you know what you can do? It's like the same thing. Like, hey, when life's falling apart, you can make your bed.
Every morning, you can get that win first thing by making your bed. You know the thing that you can do every day is just show up on time. Just don't be a jerk. It's an easy way to go about life. Just try to avoid things that a jerk would do. And I hear Giannis, 2.5 hours late for the team flight. Like, okay, well, I don't really care what you have to say about this last year. What you want in the next coach. I don't care what you want in the next coach. Show up for the flight on time, buddy. 608-321-1670. Let's take a call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Let them have it, Grant. You're on a roll.
I'm not. Look, I understand how sports radio works, Vagabond. You do as well. Like, I'm not even doing a rant to clip and put on social media. Like, and then Ebo and, our company tweets out the clip. At Wisco, Grant tells Giannis the uncomfortable truth. Like, no, this is just how I feel. Like, screw you, dude. Like, if you're going to be late for every team flight, like, why do I care what you have to say about the next coach or the culture of the team? You're part of the problem.
This isn't Zach Gelb looking into the camera, staring into the camera's eyes during his radio show and just going on a 2-minute rant about how he's very confident the Packers are going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that whatever radio network that loser's with now is just, can put it out on social media. That's not what you're doing. You're speaking from the heart, Grant, and this gets down to the heart and soul of this team. And some men are born to be individual contributors and other men are born to be leaders. And it is very clear that the moment Drew Holiday walked out of that building in Milwaukee, this team lost all respectful humans that can step up as a leader. Giannis, you've never been Superman. You're an elite individual contributor. The man in the room, guy, that really led that team, Drew Holiday, left. And since then, the Bucks have been irrelevant, lost, with one of the best players Milwaukee's ever seen come through its doors. One of the best players in the league can't make the playoffs, right? What a boob. I'm with you. Get out of Milwaukee. And I love what you're speaking to. It is personal. It gets down to the human element. This isn't talking about him on the court. This is attacking him directly off the court. Dude, you're a crappy man. Get out of town.
That's what
Go to Boston and ruin their culture.
And look, if they get a new coach and it's good and Giannis wants to stick around and he's locked in, look, I'm not trying to chase him out of town here. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, and I get it's a little personal, but we're dealing with a human thing here. Like, that's such a middle finger to your teammates and the coach. Like, it's just so I'm not trying to do manufactured radio rant, and I'm not trying to call out an athlete. I'm just describing what happened. Like, dude, you're a loser for that. No wonder the team's culture sucked. And it wasn't on the coach. Well, Joe Mazzulla would have it. But why? Because you'd show up for Joe Mazzulla? Even if you don't like your boss. Even if you don't like, you're a decent human, you show up to work on time and you do your thing, or you resign or ask for a trade instead of being too scared to do it and then moping around all year. Flight's at 2, I'm going to show up at 4:30. That's what Favre would do. And Rodgers is a complicated fellow, but I would never accuse him of being anything close to Favre because Favre was an a-hole to be an a-hole. And this is Giannis kind of being an a-hole just to be an a-hole. We'll take a break. Final segment next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I got away with everything under the last boss, and it wasn't good for me at all. So I want guidance. I want leadership. But don't just like boss me around, you know? Like lead me. Lead me when I'm in the mood to be led.
Just this Giannis stuff from the podcast that Miles Turner did with Breanna Stewart. And Goose Eggs on the live stream says, why does Breanna Stewart have a podcast? Who the hell cares what she has to say? Well, I mean, to be fair, probably very few people, but that's not a Breanna Stewart thing. Like, nobody relatively listens to these player podcasts. Everybody has them, and none of them really do crazy numbers. But Breanna Stewart, I mean, in the world of women's college basketball is a pretty big deal. And they're talking hoops. So I'll take the content, and Miles Turner basically saying, no one was ever on time for anything. 2.5 hours late for the team plane. Nobody's on time for film. No one's on time for shoot around. And Giannis was the worst offender with the flights, which I'm just going to say, well, okay, if no one was on time for anything and Giannis was the worst offender in one area, then I think we could pretty reasonably assume that he was late for everything else too, which is the full Favre. I would understand if Giannis wasn't particularly psyched this last year with his injury and with the state of the roster. I get that. You can still show up on time. You're doing a disservice to everyone on your team and on the coaching staff. Like, you don't have to be an a-hole. Favre would be an a-hole to be an a-hole because he was kind of an a-hole and kind of still is. It doesn't mean he wasn't a great quarterback, and I don't want to erase him from the history of Green Bay Packers football, but come on. It's been pretty well documented. He was just kind of an a-hole, and at times he would do it just because he could. And there were footballs. I think that's how he played. He threw the ball into double coverage at the end of the game because he wanted to. Not because he had some deep appreciation for, I need to value and protect the ball. I'm the quarterback. There's people counting up. No, he threw it away because he didn't care, because he was kind of a jack. And when I hear stuff about this, like Giannis is like, oh, okay, so it's not just that you're reasonably frustrated with the injury in the roster. You're being a dick just kind of because you can. And I could see why maybe the Bucks seem more interested in trading you than in the past. We'll pick this up tomorrow at 4. Never miss a Friday show.